guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. Right, so following on from the prep video that I did using the Flights of Fancy physical kit, if you've ordered that or you know, wanted to do something similar, basically I have now bound a journal ready to create with you guys. So the only pieces that I have used from the actual kit itself was I took the vintage letter and I have included that and bound that into the journal, and the piece that's on the tracing paper of the script with the floral patterns. So I've just bound those into the journal. Aside from that, it's just got, you know, regular coffee dye pages. I've also, sorry, not quite true, suddenly realised I also included a sheet music, one of the sheets of sheet music in here, and also the rectangular doily. The doilies are slightly longer than the A4 size, so it obviously has a little bit of an overhang. But I mean, that's absolutely fine, because once we've actually decorated and embellished the journal, we're going to have things overhanging all over the place anyway, so, you know, or I suspect we are. Let me just zoom out slightly. No, it doesn't seem to be wanting to zoom at all. Hold on. Ooh. What am I doing here? Why is this not doing anything? Oh, I don't know. For some reason I thought perhaps it zoomed in a little bit much, and I'm not going to be in frame for half the video, but I can't seem to alter it, so I'll have to just go with it and hope for the best. Right, so that's my journal that is bound. Obviously I've used you know, a soft cover envelope for the journal, and these are all my coffee dyed pages that are in there. So aside from that, I've got obviously all of my bits and bobs here ready for filling the journal and getting started with the journal itself. So I'm going to move these to one side. I'll just take all of that. I mean, as I say, it's quite a big kit, so there is actually a lot of stuff here. Oh, the other thing that I did, which I obviously haven't shown you since doing, is I've sewn my ruffles. So that's my ruffles from the piece of fabric. And I also stitched, just a couple of ruffles from the piece of lace as well. Now, I personally find that quite tricky because the lace is quite holey. So, I mean, as you can see, on the back of my lace, I obviously did not get on very well with the sewing machine. But, I mean, once that's glued down into the journal, that's not going to be visible. So, you know, that's fine with me. So that's the ruffles and things that I've got all prepped now, ready to go. So let me just put all of these pieces down to one side, so they're not in the way while we're crafting along. So to get started, really, because I mean, sometimes I feel a bit overwhelmed at the beginning of starting a journal. I don't know about you guys, but when faced with just a completely blank canvas, you know, as this now is, it's sometimes hard to know kind of where to get started, or, you know, what you want to do. So what I'm going to do is just take my background pages, which actually I've only got 3 there, so let me just bring them all in. Right, take my background pages and then select one of them to make a piece from, and that will kind of get me going into the journal's on its way, well, hopefully anyway. So let's take this one. This is pretty, isn't it? This is the very, very pale pink, which is obviously now more like a sepia tone since it's been coffee dyed. So I'm going to sit down now so that I can actually craft properly. I hope that this is going to stay in frame. As I say, I can't seem to manage to zoom it out at all today. Right, so obviously on the back, this is just plain coffee dyed paper. So I've said before, I don't very often tend to just work page by page. I just flick around, you know, flit around wherever I fancy working. I don't necessarily have a particular method for working in journals. Sometimes I make a whole bunch of ephemera and then start filling. Sometimes I do it, again, page by page basis. So for this, for this journal, I'm just thinking, I was intending on doing it on a page by page basis. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm just going to open it just to any page. So I've just opened it to this page here. And we're just going to start by making a piece to go on the page. So what I might do is pull in these flowers, which are really pretty, aren't they? And then I think what I'll do first, I'm going to just cut this one out slightly. And then I might just tear around this one. So just tear that like that. And I really don't have a plan at all with this journal. I felt very inspired once I had coffee dyed everything and really excited, couldn't wait to get started. And now I'm sat here at my desk feeling slightly slightly blank, if I'm truthful. And yeah, I haven't made a journal for a little while, and it's surprising how quickly you get out of it. I've been making other things. I did obviously the folio, I've done a couple of altered books, so this is the first you know, journal that I've made for a little while, so I feel a little bit out of the zone, I think. I'm going to cut this flower out as well. Like that. Okay. So, I mean, hopefully, if you've bought the physical kit, you've got a combination between obviously fussy cut pieces and the die cuts that come with the kit. So you don't have to fussy cut everything, but of course if you want to fussy cut pieces, then you've got some options for that too. Now I'm just going to pull in some of the die cut pieces and maybe a doily and the book pages. So hold on, bear with me. I'm just reaching down because it's obviously all on the floor where I've moved it to the side, so just bear with me. Okay. Right. Okay. I mean, aren't they just like a lovely selection of things now? So I'm just going to tear off the book page then. Right, let's have a look. What I'm wondering is about creating... Oops, for some reason I pulled in the paper bag. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, and straight away the stuff's all spilling off and it will be lost, never to be found again in amongst the rubbish on my desk. Okay. Let's just fold this over. Oops. Oh gosh, come on. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is make a pocket first. So I'm trying to decide which is the best way round to have this. Because I quite like the this effect here. So what I'm going to do is, I think, trim that down like that. Oops. So I just trim that in about here. Okay, and then I'm just going to trim it across at the bottom. Like that. Okay, I'll pop that to one side on the floor again. Right, let me just straighten this up because obviously you know, it might not look that straight at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to make a book page pocket here by just having this, which I have not folded that straight either. This is just going to be one of those videos, I'm afraid, so I will just apologise now because it's just obviously going to be one of those ridiculous days. Right, let's get cracking with this. So I'm going to glue this down. Like that. Okay. Don't know where my card is. Oh, there it is, poking out. So I'll just make sure that's nice and smoothed out. And then I'm just going to do one of those little pockets there. So I might have to just trim this in slightly more so I've got a bit more room to tuck it round. Like that. Okay. Right. Okay. Finally moving on. So just going to fold this in here like that. I'll just check, and I probably want to come up a bit higher like that. So then I'm just going to trim those corners off. Oops. Like that. And then I can obviously bring the bottom flap, oops, bring the bottom flap up as well. Okay. I don't know what's going on with me today. I'm not having... Oh my gosh, look at the terrible state I've made of that. This... This is not going well. Do you know what this is? I've not had my breakfast yet, and I mean, I know I've said this before, but honestly that just makes such a massive difference to the standard of crafting. Right, okay, let's glue this down before we have any more ridiculous mishaps. So I'm just going to take my glue, glue that down there, just glue in here as well, just because I hadn't really gone up to the edge with that book page. So there we go. And then this one as well. Okay. Yeah, because obviously I had done all the prep yesterday, and I was feeling so inspired that I couldn't wait to come and get on with it today. So as soon as I dropped my daughter off at school, I've obviously come straight back to, you know, crack on and get on with doing something with the kit. But obviously I hadn't really factored in the fact that no breakfast never makes for a good crafty video. So I might have to stop it soon and go and get some breakfast. Right, okay. So I might pop a bit of the coffee dye doily on there. So this is the larger piece of doily. Got these pretty flowers here, they look nice, don't they? And then obviously I've got all of those little fussy cut pieces that we could just pop on something like that. And then obviously just leaning down again, sorry, got some lace, so we could have some lace trim going across there. So I think what I'm going to do is stick the doily piece down first, because then I'm committed. It's always good to, I find it's always good to glue one or two things on, so you've got a kind of base to work from. When things are just loose and, you know, I haven't made decisions yet, oops, I find that a little bit, oh, what's the word? Not really daunting, but, you know, confusing, or it just leads to lots of procrastination, I find. So by actually getting something stuck on the page, I just find helps slightly more. Right, now just before I do that, I'm just going to get my little tiny script stamp. I know I use this all the time, so you're probably, you know, bored of seeing this and think, oh, for goodness sake, that old stamp again. But I do love it. So, you know, when you find something that you love, then I like sticking with it, really. And I just wondered whether I could just stamp. Now, I think this was a Prima Marketing stamp. I've had it for years and years. I mean, like, it's probably 7 or 8 years. But if you can see there, it's got this large kind of scripty stamp, and then it's got tiny scripty stamp. So I'm just going to see the tiny, whether I could stamp in there. Now, if that doesn't work, I've got this teeny postcard stamp, which I just wonder whether I could use that. In fact, I'm going to use that, I think, because it's slightly more delicate still, isn't it? Because I just wondered whether I could just pick up just a bit in the background of those flowers. I mean, it really is very subtle. I mean, hardly kind of noticeable at all, but it does just add a little something to them. So I just wanted to do that, really. Okay, so pop that out the way. And then, actually, I nearly forgot, we've also got the sheet of words. So let me just grab those. Oh my gosh, not great reaching down there. So, I mean, you've got lots of nice words here. I've got this one, ponder. Let's take that. So, and again, obviously I have coffee dyed these. So I'm just going to... Oh, I just want to say quickly as well, further to my last video where we coffee dyed the items and what have you and prepped them, when I was editing the video, because I obviously had to join the videos, you know, in lots of places, I noticed that I had said when I was ironing the bits, when I was referring to ironing the bits, I made a statement saying, oh, because I like to iron everything, or because I iron everything. I just want to clarify there, I iron absolutely nothing in the way of clothes. I really was just referring to paper. So yes, when I said I iron everything, or I like to iron everything, or however my statement was made, I was referring to craft things. I avoid ironing like the plague when it comes to clothes, or, you know, anything that you're supposed to iron. It was literally just clothes that I meant. So yeah, just wanted to clarify that, because when I watched that I thought, oh, sounds like I'm, you know, some sort of, I don't know, ironing god. And my gosh, that just couldn't be further from the truth, because I iron literally nothing. Right. Oh, I might have to go for the neck curtain lace. So let me just, so this is the neck curtain. I'm just going to place that word on there like that. I was going to go for the blue because I thought that would be really nice, but actually I just think that neck curtain just wins me over slightly more. Yeah, I like it like that, I think. Okay, so I'm going to go for that because, again, let's just stop procrastinating and wondering, shall I stick these down? Or pondering. Let's stop pondering what else I could do on here. Let's just commit and stick some bits down. So we're sticking this piece down. And then I'm just going to get my ink. Oops. I mean, obviously these flowers have been coffee dyed, but I'm just going to ink around the edge slightly more so they just stand out a little bit more. And then we're just going to stick them there. Oops. So just pop them down. Like that. Oops. Okay. And then we're going to have the word on there as well. Okay. Nope, don't want it over there. I want it down here, I think. Like that. Yeah. So actually, before I stick that down, I'm just going to ink up the book page slightly. Just because everything's quite coffee dyed and grungy looking, so I just want to make sure that the book page also is in keeping. So there we go. Okay. Right, let's take the glue. Oops, it's now got a big clump stuck on there. Let me just pull that off so that it's actually working. That wouldn't really be a good start, would it? Using the glue that's not even working. So I'm just going to stick the word onto the lace and then stick the lace down. So there we go. Okay, right, let's move that out of the way. So, I mean, that looks really nice, I think. And of course, we fussy cut the other flower, didn't we? Which now, ooh, where has that gone? There it is. So we could just pop a flower somewhere around there as well. Now, I probably am not going to actually glue these pieces onto the page because I like to have a few pieces made before I kind of do that. So, you know, then I've got a bit of flexibility for how I want things laid out. But that's obviously, you know, got me up and running, I suppose, you know, from the blank journal where I felt a little bit flummoxed and a bit kind of, ooh, where do I start with this? Obviously now we've got a starting point, so, and you know, you could just pop that in there, for instance. So we can obviously then go on to another page and make another piece. So let's come to the center of the signature actually. So let's have a look. Now, as you can see, this paper here, this thick kind of card, I like to intermingle, you know, thin paper for journaling with the thicker card where you've got, obviously you can stick down sort of more weighty embellishment pieces. As you can see though, I've run this through my printer before, and obviously I've got a drag mark from my printer. It didn't print, it just dragged it through and made those marks. So hence using it now. So what I'm going to do is make a little piece to cover that up, I think. So I'm just going to pull in the sheet music. Now this was the piece that I've obviously cut down and coffee dyed. Let me just have another look. Oh. Okay. And this was obviously the piece that I haven't coffee dyed and wasn't cut down yet. So just having a look. do I want to use that like that? Oh yes, I'm going to. So what I'm going to do is just, might as well just try and tear that. Now obviously because I'm on camera this is probably not going to go smoothly because things seldom do when you're on camera and then you wish that you hadn't done it that way in the first place. Right, okay, it has come off quite well. Let me put those pieces back on the floor so as I keep the kit together in its entirety, you know, so as I'm not then grabbing things that aren't necessarily included in the kit. So all I'm going to do is fold this over now to make a little kind of piece to go at the side. Now obviously in the kit, you know, the physical kit that you're getting, you're only getting the 3 sheets of the music paper. So if you want to make your music paper go slightly further, rather than folding this over and actually doubling it up to use it, you may prefer to actually just back this onto like maybe some copy paper or something like that. I mean, you could just back it onto something like this, because all you're trying to do is make this thicker so it's a bit more robust really. So in fact, let's do that. So hold on, let me pull in some copy paper that's not got stuff all over it. Hold on a moment. Oh no, struggling to find any now. Hang on. Oh, would you believe it? I now can't find any. Oh, it's so annoying, isn't it, when you can't find things. All of the copy paper that I can see everywhere has just got other things on it. So, oh, hold on. Oh, come on. Right, what I'm going to do, I think, is from my children's encyclopedia, I'm just going to find a couple of pages that I'm not really going to be using, so some just text pages. So obviously this piece here is not included in the kit, but I'm just demonstrating this to show that basically you can use, you know, copy paper or anything that you like. In fact, I need to come in slightly smaller. Anything that you like, just to thicken your piece up. So although it's not included in the kit, obviously you could use anything. You don't have to use a book page, you could use something else. And again, I mean, I would quite often just have folded this in half and glued the things together, the 2 pieces, to sandwich it together, and that obviously is much quicker and easier. The only reason I'm not is, again, because if you've bought the physical kit, you've only got those 3 sheets of sheet music, and you may want to use them, or we may want to use them for something else in the journal. So I'm just giving options really to extend the kit. So we just cut that down like that. Okay, so now obviously I've still got this strip here, which actually I might as well just keep it with that piece of book page, which we may want to make one of these for somewhere else in the kit. So I'll keep that down on the floor as well. And then I'm just going to trim that on the other side, like that. Okay, have I got that? Let me just trim that down slightly more. It's better to be too short than obviously overhanging. So, right. Okay, so that's a potential piece there. And then I'm just going to see what we would marry that up with on the other side of the page. Obviously, I will decorate this up. So again, might just take a piece of the doily. Which we could have that there, or actually it's quite nice there, isn't it? So maybe we'd have it there. And then let's just have a look. Oh, should we have one of the ladies? Do we like her? She's quite nice, isn't she? And then would we have maybe a bit of the blue lace? And that's quite pretty, isn't it? Yeah, I think I quite like that. Now, let's just have a look. See what else we could add. So, hold on. Just got some of my pearly trim. So, hold on a moment. So if we had that there, maybe a bit of pearl trim. Right, I wanted to check how that looked because I wasn't quite sure. So I've got this pearl trim, so I'm going to include a piece of this, I think, for everybody who buys a physical kit as well. Now this is, I think, all I've got left, although who knows, I could have more buried on my desk somewhere. So I will endeavour to, yeah, well, let's just quickly try, hold on. So if I were to do 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's the 8 pieces for the kits. I will cut myself a strip as well, which obviously now I just need to cut 2. I mean, I'm doing this so that I can see how I feel the kit is to use, because I want to make sure that obviously it's really workable and nice value for money and things like that. So I'm just going to put these to one side so that I can tuck them in with the kits when I go back downstairs. Going to put this obviously to one side, and now I've lost the, oh, there it is. Right, put that onto the pile. So that would also be included in the kit now, a little piece of the pearly trim. So that's the ribbon, not ribbon, sorry, lace piece. And we could put that there, put this here. Yeah, let's go for that. And again, I'm going to commit to that because then it's down. I can't keep chopping and changing my mind. So just pop that down. Okay. Because, I mean, to be honest, sometimes it's not until you start using something that then you think, oh, I would have liked this or I would have liked that. And, you know, of course, I want everyone who buys one of the kits to be pleased with it. And, yeah, enjoy using it and not be kind of thinking, oh, wish it had this or wish it had that. I mean, of course, there's going to be odd things that you may wish it had, because of course, you know, you can't think of everything, but on the whole, I just want people to feel really chuffed and have a really nice time using it. So right, I'm going to do that, cut that down now in a 3 and a 5. So I've got the 3 there, got the pearly trim up here. Oh, how nice does that look? So I'm going to pop that to one side, and then what you could do is make a little folding piece from there. So again, this is now using just some copy paper, if I can find some, or actually we could just just wonder whether we could use the bag. So this is one of the paper bags that just had the die cut pieces in. So if I just hook that round the side, oops, I've now made that too long, would you believe? There we go. So just hook that round there. And that's quite nice, isn't it? And then obviously when you then fold that back, you've got that lovely lady. So, right, let's commit to a couple of things here. So I'm going to glue the pearl on, the pearl trim. Like that. Oh, perhaps I didn't grab any glue on that end one actually, because it feels naked. Felt like it didn't have any glue under it. You can just tell, can't you? It feels strange if it's not got the glue. Then I'm going to now ink up a little bit the piece of sheet music. So, oh my gosh, look at the mess that I'm working in. Right, I'll just ink this up. Okay. Let's put the lid on the glue before I forget that next. Right. So I'm going to now stick the paper bag on at the back. Like that. And I'll just stick the opening of the bag as well together like that. Okay. So that's our little fold out now, like that. I mean, that's just for fun, you know, it's got no other, oops, no other purpose, sorry. But it's just a bit of a fun element really. So we're obviously going to keep that doily there. So what we could do is, if we popped her down here, we'd have the flower on there. And then let me just pull in the other florals again. Just under, so we've got these ones here. Yeah, let's take these. So, right, these require a bit of fussy cutting, so okay. And as I always say, you know, flowers are very forgiving because flowers come in all different shapes. You know, and sometimes they have tears or holes in the petals where they've been munched on by insects and things. So really don't get too worried and bogged down by fussy cutting your flowers out. So could have those. I'm not sure though. Oh, I don't know now. I mean, again, that's another situation where I shouldn't really have tried that, because now I'm debating what to go for. That's quite nice. Oh, decisions. I'm so sorry about this. It's just going to be one of those videos, I'm afraid. Right, let's make a commitment somewhere. So I'm going to glue this flower on because I do really like the flower there. So just glue that one down. Let me just dab that off. Okay. Then open that out and let's decide what's going on here. Oh, I've got that little piece as well, which I'd forgotten. Well, I hadn't forgotten. I hadn't noticed it, obviously, until just now. It just happened to be floating around on the book. Well, perhaps I might not have that lady, actually. Might be better without her. Now I don't know what happened to those flowers that I just fussy cut. Where have they gone? Oh, for goodness sake. This must be so frustrating for people watching, so I'm sorry about the whole mislaying every single thing as I come to use it. Or we've got this piece. I mean, I just absolutely love any little fussy cut pieces, to be honest. I just think they're just gorgeous, and love having, you know, an abundance of things to use. I mean, that's quite nice actually. Oh gosh, come on. What is wrong with me? That's those flowers. I don't know how on earth they made it over there, but for some reason they had, which, how peculiar. Oh, that's quite nice. Right, I'm going to go for that, I think. So again, I'm just going to ink around those flowers, because that just overcomes anywhere where I might have a bit of, you know, not neat cutting. It just gets around that really. So I'm just going to glue that on. Like that. Oops. So just pop that there. And then I'm going to use this piece. And obviously we don't need to ink this one because it's been coffee dyed. I mean, the other piece has been coffee dyed too, but obviously it had been coffee dyed prior to cutting, if you see what I mean. Whereas this is one of the die cut pieces, so it had already been cut. So if there were any whitish pieces from when it was cut out from the machine, they've been covered up now. So it's all good. Right, pop that piece there. Okay, like that. Okay, so that's that piece. Now I'm just looking at the time. We're up to like 42 minutes, so might have to call it quits here and go and have some breakfast so I'm functioning a little bit better for some more. Now I'm just wondering, because obviously you've got that string, you could have a piece of string just tied around it as well. So I mean, and obviously you don't have to have bought this kit to do this. You could do very similar to this with any pieces that you've got. You know, I'm doing this video, or these series of videos, specifically really using this kit to just demonstrate how I would use it. But I mean, the ideas are all the same no matter what pieces that you're using. So please don't feel that you have to have had the kit to follow along. You know, you can obviously follow along using whatever materials that you've got. So, right, I'm going to just leave that string there while I decide whether or not to have that. And then I will probably make something for the facing page that hopefully will kind of tie in quite nicely. As you can see, unfortunately, I've got a bit of drag there from the printer again, which is really annoying. But I don't want to really necessarily have a similar piece, although maybe it would look nice. So going to have breakfast and then come back with hopefully a better perspective. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope that you'll all join me for the next one. So, oh, and just one quick word, please note that obviously the kits now do contain that little bit of pearly trim as well. So thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully see you guys again soon. Thanks then, bye.